This is a story about my dad, who was about 14 at the time and had just left home, and his older brother George, who was about 10 years older than him, who had a job working on the Murchison Ranch east of Amarillo in a place called POKER FLATS. POKER FLATS was nothing but an area maybe 25-30 miles across of nothing but grass, and as they described it, it was belly high to a horse. The only thing in the whole area, right in the middle of it, was a windmill and a dugout, half dugout for people to stay in. The windmill out there was a beacon to wagon trains coming, or wagons going by about a mile south there on the road that came west from Fort Smith all the way into Amarillo and on west going to California. And a lot of times somebody with a wagon, whenever they came inside of that windmill, they would turn off and go over there knowing there was water available to spend the night. It was also the reason for the cattle on the open range not to stray very far away, that they stayed close to water. So there wasn't really all that much to do. The guy who owned the ranch, or he didn't own the ranch but ran the cattle out there on the open range, would come out about once a month and bring them supplies and all that. The only problem was the people coming there to camp were always wanting to borrow some coffee or matches or something like that, and they were always running out of supplies. And the other thing, closest supply of wood was about 5 miles away, and they'd have to ride a horse down there, chop the wood, haul it back on the saddle, and people were always needing a few sticks of wood to cook over. So they decided that they had to do something to get rid of all those people, all those moochers coming out there and using up their supplies. So they came up with a plan. One evening, this wagon came up there and asked my dad if he could stay, and my dad told him, sure, go ahead, and put his wagon inside the catch pasture, about 10 acres. They had a little fence around it there to keep their horses in. And as soon as he got set up camp, well, he came down to the dugout and wanted to borrow some coffee or something like that. My dad says, come on down inside. Well, the guy came down the steps into there and looked in the dim light down in this dugout, and there was this huge naked man with long hair and whiskers sitting in the floor, picking up dirt and pouring it in little piles and gibberish coming out of him. And he looked up and saw the guy, and he lunged at him, and just as he almost to him, the chain around his neck and around the bed stopped him. And this guy nearly killed himself trying to get back out of there. And my dad said, oh, don't bother. Says, that's just my brother George. Said he went a little crazy here about 3 weeks ago, and I had to keep him chained up. So did you see that dead horse out there by the windmill? Said he killed that with his bare hands. Says, I'm keeping him here until the guy that owns the ranch comes out so we can send him into Amarillo to the insane asylum. Well, the guy went back and told his wife and everything, and after it got dark, my dad went outside and went to yelling, help, 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 and the guy comes running over there and says, what do you need? And he says, George got away. We got to catch him. So you go that way and I'll go this way, and we'll go around this. And when I was wanting to catch him, yell out to the other one. Well, they had it rigged up to where the guy went the direction that George was hiding in the dark, and he started chasing him, rattling the chain and making all kinds of funny noises, and he chased the guy around that 10-acre plot, handed the chain to my dad, and he took him for a lap, and they nearly ran that poor fool to death out there before my dad finally yelled, I got him. Well, next morning the man was gone, and the wagon is gone, and you can bet that he told everybody he met going east as he was going west about that wild man out there on POKER Flat that nearly got him and had killed a horse with his bare hands. And they would go past and tell people coming that way from the east. Well, it wasn't long until the wagons didn't stop there from either direction. Well, Mr. Murchison heard about that in Panhandle, and he went out there to see what in the world was the matter. He got in his buggy, took him all day to get there, and when they told him what they had done, he didn't think it was at all funny, so he fired both of them.